You ever wonder how those huge, gleaming gold nuggets actually get made deep down inside the Earth? Well, today, we're going to uncover the absolutely incredible and surprisingly violent connection between earthquakes and the creation of pure gold. Let's dive right in. So, what's the secret recipe? I mean, for centuries, this has been a massive geological puzzle. We know where to find gold, but the story of how it gets so ridiculously concentrated, well, that story's been missing a key chapter.
For a long time now, geologists have understood the basics. That gold shows up in these quartz veins deep underground. But how does it go from being just microscopic dust dissolved in some fluid to a massive, solid chunk of metal you can hold in your hand? That's the real mystery.
And just think about it for a second. The process had to be super fast to pile up that much gold in one spot. The classic theories, they told part of the story, sure, but they couldn't really explain the sheer speed and scale of these amazing deposits. Okay, so to really get this breakthrough, we first have to cover the established science. The whole journey for gold kicks off way down in the Earth's crust, in this world of insane heat and pressure. And it all starts right here, with magma. As this molten rock starts to cool down and harden, it's kind of like a chemical factory. Different minerals start to form and crystallize out, and they leave behind this really special kind of liquid.
And that leftover liquid, that's what we call hydrothermal fluid. We're talking superheated water between 100 and 500 degrees Celsius, and it's just loaded with dissolved elements, including tiny, tiny particles of gold. It's basically Earth's very own gold delivery service.
This diagram here shows that journey perfectly. You see, the gold-rich fluids, they get pushed by all this pressure, traveling up from the magma chamber. They snake their way through cracks and faults in the crust, and that's what creates what we know as quartz veins.
So here's the crucial point. This gets the gold to the right location, for sure, but it's still just microscopic bits floating in a liquid. How does it suddenly just drop out of that solution and become solid metal? And how does it happen fast enough to form a nugget? The classic theory was missing the trigger.
And that, right there, brings us to the breakthrough. Recent research has finally found the missing piece of the puzzle, and it is, quite literally, earth-shattering.
Yep, you heard that right. Earthquakes. The same violent geological events we're scared of up here on the surface are actually the key ingredient for forging gold deep below. This incredible insight comes from a study led by Christopher Voysey over at Monash University. They figured out that the insane mechanical pressure from a quake provides the jolt, the literal jolt, needed to turn liquid gold into solid treasure.
So how does a tremor translate into a treasure? Well, the science behind it is just fascinating. And it all boils down to a very special property of the quartz that the gold is hanging out in.
The key is this phenomenon called piezoelectricity, and you've actually seen this in action before. It's the exact same principle that creates the spark in a gas scroll lighter when you click it. You squeeze a quartz crystal hard enough and boom, it generates an electric charge.
So this process is called flash deposition. Here's the play-by-play. First, an earthquake hits, creating crazy amounts of pressure. Second, the quartz veins get squeezed hard. Third, this squeeze generates that piezoelectric charge. Fourth, the dissolved gold ions floating in the fluid get zapped by this electricity. And finally, in an instant, they're forced out of the liquid, plating right onto the quartz as solid metallic gold.
And we're not talking about a slow, gradual thing here. This happens in a flash. And since these fault zones are seismically active, this can happen again and again and again. Every single earthquake adds another tiny layer of gold, building up over thousands of years into those giant nuggets that prospectors dream about.
So what's the big takeaway here? Well, this discovery fundamentally changes how we understand the formation of one of Earth's most precious resources. What's so cool about this is that this new insight doesn't just throw the old theory out the window. Nope, it actually builds on it. It gives us that missing mechanism, the trigger, that finally explains that critical last step of how the gold gets so concentrated, so fast.
And why does this matter so much? Get a load of this number, 75%. An estimated 75% of all the gold humanity has ever mined comes from these exact types of geological systems. This earthquake-driven process is responsible for the vast majority of the world's gold. It's just wild.
And this graphic just perfectly illustrates the new golden rule. In these special geological spots called epithermal systems, which are basically those shallower, hot spring-like vein systems, an earthquake acts like a natural electrical switch. It flicks on,
zaps the fluid, and instantly drops a layer of gold. It's such a powerful and honestly elegant solution to a puzzle that's been around for centuries.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If earthquakes are the secret to forging gold, what other incredible planetary secrets are just waiting for the next tremor to shake them loose?